All right, members are present. We'll call the meeting order at 9:08. Anybody want to comment prior to, I mean, it's a small group, so we can be casual here and have a conversation.
Well, just since I'm sort of just a member of the public, I can bring up what I wanted to report right now. If you want,
Sure.
I can wait. It's up to you.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Carl, did you get her letter?
Yes.
Okay.
And Will, did you get a copy of a letter that I sent? Yeah.
Oh, you did?
You did, okay.
I do. I have it. Yes.
Okay, great. The basic point of it is that, you know, I monitor this Facebook page and I post to it when there's a hike or something. And occasionally we get a little bit of inside intelligence, and one that came up recently was that a gentleman has done unauthorized trail work off of an area off of the Green Trail Loop on right around the stream that leads off on the west from the Pequot Swamp. And I didn't put the names in the photograph. I don't feel like the point of this is the names. It's the point of it is what's going on. I've seen a lot of stuff in the last couple of months off trail. So it's just that concern again. And then the second part, leading back to the idea that we need a space in the parking lots for signs, is that Dennis Quinn, who was one of the herpetologists who worked on the big herp study for us over the last couple of years, he has identified a disease called ranavirus. And it's in another preserve, not in this one, but the point is that he suspects it may be moving around the state, and that anything that goes through a vernal pool at this time of year might carry it to another vernal pool. So boots, paws, bike tires, you get the idea. So I'm just trying to report that, and the last part is that I had submitted a sign for consideration. It's a sign that came from the Hamilton Park at the last meeting, and I'm still hoping that perhaps that sign or some iteration of it will go up in all, not just the preserve parking lots, but on the town parking lots as well, since so many people come into the preserve from our town parking lots. That's it for me.
So, we talk a lot about signs. Can we just get these signs? Well,
I mean, this is where, with Martin being at the last meeting, he had another meeting today, but for things like signage and trail closures that are illegal, unauthorized, you know, Ray, I'm hoping that you have an open communication line with Martin and the two, like either Old Saybrook Parks and Rec or Martin as the park unit supervisor. We have these signs that, you know, we ought to just be going out and posting the signs. I don't think that requires CMC approval or anything.
yeah, no,
The only thing that might possibly require CMC, I agree, now that especially now that there's a plan, that there's not a designated place to put them. And so that's a piece of what I would like to see happen.
Well, I can address part of that.
Yeah,
The
go.
kiosk that is in the old parking lot is getting moved. We couldn't move it in the winter, essentially.
And
So,
the thing is, they're not easy to open and post things to.
no, and that particular kiosk has a large map and it takes the whole thing. But you can post them on the edges of it as well. But yes, part of it is that kiosk. I didn't move it because we didn't have the trail bridge up, but it's up now, so we can move it. Just, we're getting into that time where we can move those things.
Yeah, and it's over on the Essex Road side in Westbrook, the Westbrook entrance. Same deal. It's just like, in addition to the sign, we need a place to put it. That's all. So it's to make it complete, gotta figure that piece out.
so,
Do we have a kiosk over at the Essex side in Westbrook?
Yes.
But it's set low. It's in the parking lot. I mean, people are probably maybe walking by it, probably not, as they're going up the hill there.
No, it's prominent, but I have no way to put a sign. I can thumbtack a sign. But you see, I think I'm talking about what I believe should be permanent signs. You know, so we need to either is it okay? And maybe I'm sure this is a question for Martin and Ray, not maybe for this group. But is it okay to take a screwdriver over there and screw it into the, you know, what's the protocol, so to speak, for hanging an authorized sign over there that should be there permanently? That's really my question.
And then the other question is how many signs should be over there, you know? 'Cause
Well, there's that, it can get too
You can get
crowded.
too crowded with
Yeah, you
signs.
wanna maybe design it a little bit. And then in these old Saybrook parking lots, we have, as I recall, a decent kiosk at the 155 Ingham Hill Road, the Great Cedars West. Great Cedars East, not so much. Clark Community Park, I tried to post just an event sign over there, and there's really nowhere to put a sign.
Which one, the new one or the old one? Because we have another one, a new kiosk on the very entrance, which is quite large.
Didn't see that,
Okay.
but maybe I was too soon.
The first one, the original one that's in the closest parking lot is full, but we have a new one closer to the bridge
Oh,
that
okay,
you can put a lot of things in.
okay.
So, can we
Yeah.
get a few of these up?
Yeah, well, I don't have these particular signs. I don't know where they came
But
from.
with Martin, I
Yeah,
mean.
Yeah, Martin, we have trail closure signs, and shoot an email to Martin, and and John,
but is
John
this,
G.
is this a state
Gigliamone.
sign though?
Yeah, it looks like
It is.
Yeah, we
It's
have
even
state signs.
a state
Yeah.
number.
But this mountain bikers one is a state sign.
Yeah, the wording
Parks
had
has
to-
so many signs. I don't know about that one specifically, but we have a lot of signs.
Well, I mean, because it has their logo on doesn't mean it's theirs, particularly because all theirs are black and brown and yellow.
but it's hanging at Hammonasset State Park, and it has a state of Connecticut
Yeah.
signature at
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah.
So, and there's one for dog walking as well from Hammonasset that I'll recirculate. I know I
Is
sent
that the
years
white
ago.
and red one?
White and red.
We have that one.
Yeah, and so, maybe you and I could talk, Ray, about just like, what's the array of signs
Yep.
that we want, and then how we fit them in.
Yep.
And then, just like you said, get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it done.
Let's try to get this done prior to the June meeting.
Yeah, we'll get the sign.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend just setting up a Teams or a Zoom call with Martin, you know, for next week. You see when he's available and just hash this out, because these all exist. And we've put signs up at kiosks, and if you have a high use area where there's a lot of unauthorized use, then you put up a temporary sign on a post, a metal post, and drive it in the ground right there where the where the activity's occurring. So there's all different levels of ways you can approach this.
Let's do that. I gotta rework this agenda. Right, let's do the minutes right now, Will. Minutes from, December 18.
Yeah.
I'll move them into second.
I have one point
yeah.
of clarification on the minutes, Carl.
Yeah,
And I had everything up.
I struggle with them sometimes.
Yeah, well, I just want to point out one thing. On page, under the section 6, business before the board, on the second page,
Yeah.
it says Chris Kreider wants to know if the plan can be amended. And it says here that Will Holzer said the work plans have to be submitted for review, NDB review, and as a result, modifications could occur to the forest management plan as a result of specificity of the work plans. We're not going to amend the plan because the plan is, again, this 30,000 foot view. And then when you write a project plan for anything, the scope of that work might change. So the outcome of the plan might be affected, but we're not going to amend the plan. So I don't want there to seem like we're going to open up the plan for amendment. Because this is just a recommended work plan, work action list that's been developed in the plan. And each one of those has to get vetted, approved, modified,
Yep.
and then implemented.
All right, and with that amendment, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. I'll correct that in our minutes for this meeting, okay?
Thank
And
you.
you can look at that language and make sure it works for you. I see, all right, so why don't we do the ad hoc letter of March 14?
So, the last couple months, we have met with Kim Bradley and with Alex.
That's good news.
Yeah, both great news. Got some clarification from Alex on next steps of what would happen in, not block 10, calling it. Stand 10, thank you. And part of the next, basically the process of how that all would happen. So it was a really good clarification from him, and it really gave us an idea of how that would look and how it would work, and really some timeframes on if and when it happened this year, as it says, states in the plan as of right now. So that was really good. And then we met with Kim last month, trying to get an idea on the trail plan, public use plan, and where the steps are on that. She said that she had met with you guys, and then there was gonna be some ongoing meetings with that, and I don't know where that stands as of right now, Will, if you've met again, or if those have been planned out or anything like that. So essentially our letter just kind of reiterates some of the things that we had on our list of priorities and how they're working, and I will give a couple updates. Alex was gonna give us an update on the log piles in the Eversource right away. He has not as of yet. I'm not sure if he had a chance to get out there. The Frog Bridge, as I reiterated last month, we had an equestrian group that gave us a plan to replace that bridge. We went to our town engineer to see if that bridge plan was good enough. He made some modifications to it. We gave it back to the equestrian group to see if they wanted to do it, and they have said, no, they do not want to do the work. So we are back at kind of square one of where do we go from here? So
I know I saw Howard's comments, and they were basically like, if you want to drive X over it, this is not sufficient.
correct.
But Howard didn't engineer new plans.
He added, I don't know if they were actually engineered, but he said what he should be added to it to make it sufficient for that vehicle to go over it. And he had laid that out.
So, all right, so I wonder if we should take the plans, take what Howard said, and just put it out to 3 or 4 contractors and see what they say.
Okay. I'll send you over, maybe you can see the comments when he made on their plan. It was below in his email there of what needs to be
And
added.
just hand it out. Well, I mean, do you think that's okay, Will? I mean, if we use.
So this is the one that's on the road, on the existing roadway, right? Which is a town road?
It's on an unimproved town road.
Town road.
Yeah. Yeah, so follow your course.
Where are we getting the money to do the bridge? Are we
You
gonna?
tell me. Well, we have the money left over from the original parking lot, which is around 20,000. I don't know if we can use that. That was TPL money. And
We've
then
asked TPL how we can use that, so I'll ask him again.
And then there's the other money from the sale of the Boca Road property that we have in there too.
Right, okay, so why don't we get some prices? I don't know who, I mean, it's more, what did Bill say about it? Did Bill say he?
Bill said, I mean, we were just gonna take some of the overrotted pylons and redo the top, so
No, but.
I don't think he can do it.
All right, send me over what you have and, maybe I'll talk to Bill and see if he has, a couple people that we can just put this out to and see if we can get it done.
Sure.
I don't know.
And then certainly some of the other comments we made about the time frame of what's happening here, we just kind of wanted to figure out if you guys had talked about any of this stuff and if you had any timeframes and where we're at in general. I guess with the forest management plan, is that hasn't been signed yet, I'm assuming it will?
So the forest management plan has not been signed. I think you guys are aware we've received an additional letter of concern. We were addressing one from Save the Sound from December, and that was almost done. And then we had a second one from Chris Kreider submitted in February 27th. So we're having to address those concerns through the CEQ, and then hopefully be moving forward for a signature. But as of now, the plan's not approved.
So are we waiting to do the public use plan, meetings until that happens, or are we just gonna put that on hold?
All these, when I look at your list here, pretty much everything are action or work priorities set forth in that management plan. So once that plan's approved, that puts the rest of these in motion. The only thing is I know that Alex said there's a load of logs or something from the Eversource clearing that needs to be picked up. I think that was one of your
Yeah.
items here. And the hunting and trapping, all that stuff was going to follow the activation of this, the start of the management plan, the public use plan, all of that. The well cleanup, we'd have funding to go clean up the well pipes. We just talked about the frog bridge. So all this hinges on the final approval of the 10-year plan. And hopefully that will happen soon.
There's no real time frame. You don't know if it's a 6-month thing or a 1-week thing. No. Okay.
So the concerns through the CEQ, what is the process internally at DEEP to address the concerns?
We just have to review the letter and go line by line and provide details on how the concerns have been discussed or resolved, or what those issues are and how the agencies responded.
And then when you respond, is there, so I don't fully understand. So they sent a letter and you guys need to respond. And then once you respond, can you just close the book on it? Or is there?
It's up to our deputy commissioner. So when our plans, after we go through the public review process that initiates a Hartford level review, and which goes to the state forester. Once the state forester has conducted his review, it goes up to our bureau chief, and then it goes up to our deputy commissioner. The deputy commissioner is the final person to sign. The deputy commissioner wants to be certain that we've engaged the public and we've addressed all the concerns and resolved any of those issues to the best of our ability before he signs off. So it depends on the deputy commissioner's decision on whether or not to sign or ask us to continue working to resolve something.
Is there a further potential appeal process after that no, all right, okay. Susan, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yes. I have a question, but I didn't want to stop this conversation because it's important. But to add on to that letter that we had at our last Park and Recreation Commission, we had some questions from our commissioners, and they really revolved around the monies that are set aside by the state. Are they in a particular locked box type situation? They can't be used anywhere else. And also, they've been set aside for so many years now. Where is the interest that those monies might have accrued? Can it come back into the preserve situation, lockbox to be used? And I'm sorry, but I promised my commissioners I would bring this up.
Real question.
I will have to get back to you. I know we tried to use the money initially, and because we didn't have a management plan in place and tie back to the preserve and specific actions, we weren't authorized to use it. It's still there. Interest, I'm not aware of any interest earnings or anything along those lines. I can certainly ask. I don't know what kind of response I will get.
I can give you my best guess response is that interest is being swept as income to the state, to the general fund.
I had a feeling, but the concern was because the preserve, the dollar value of trying to bring things up in concerns of closing and updating trails and bridges and things like that. They were concerned that, that interest should actually go back into the preserve money. I'm just saying it. It's on record.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but.
And Susan, to your point, when I asked that question of trust the public land that holds the remaining funds, the answer was probably not, because they, She said it's held in a low interest account. It's, I guess in a money market or something like that. And that she did not believe that there would be interest accrued to the preserve.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that they do take a fee for managing, you know, I don't know that I don't think it's much, but I have a feeling that interest might be partly paying for that fee.
Understood.
Then lastly, from the ad hoc committee is trail closures that we'd like to make. There's a map that's also attached. It was going to be a presentation, but simply there's a cluster of trails to the west of the Great Cedar Swamp, in between some vernal pools in a high productivity area that are just unauthorized trails that we were going to go out and close. Simply close them. We have our signs ready to go. We already have them, and we're just gonna do some stewardship work to go out there and close them. And just to let you guys know, that's where we're gonna go with this, because the trails are, as you know, well used, and these trails that are unauthorized are in highly productive vernal pool areas that we don't want use around.
How do you just like?
Natural materials will go in front of the trails.
Yeah.
These particular signs are trail closed for restoration.
Yeah.
And we'll keep an eye on it as best we can.
When were these trails built? Or have they been out there for a long time?
They've been there for a little bit, but they constantly getting added on to.
And I found horse dew out in one of the areas, literally between two beautiful vernal pools. So when that happens, well, I don't have to tell you what, it's got multiple bad impacts.
Yeah.
Including that those grasses, because horses don't digest grasses. The grasses, if there's any sunlight coming through the canopy, the grasses will grow. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really bad in one
Who knew?
section.
Yeah. I learn something every day.
Yeah.
Grasses from horse poop.
Horses don't
Yeah.
digest. They don't
And
digest the seeds. Goats do, which is why goats are good weed.
Right.
Yeah, goats digest the seeds, horses do not.
Nature's design.
Yeah.
So I guess lastly from me, Will, and from the ad hoc would be, if you're gonna be meeting with Kim at any point in time with the public use plan, can someone from the ad hoc be involved in that? So as a liaison, at least, I think we need to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'll make a note. I mean, I think because really what's going to happen is as it gets really into like a conversation just about trails and that rec use, Kim and Martin are going to become the leads on that. And at that point, you know, Alex and I will probably will be less involved and review some of the proposals or our progress on that, but not as involved. So it'd be good for us all to meet and just kind of have that transition so that you guys
Sure, I
can
just start
having
wanna make sure that the
conversations
ad hoc
directly.
committee, yeah, I just wanna make sure the ad hoc committee in the town has equal opportunity to put in their input on all the trails, that's all.
Yeah, I've got a note here to include you guys.
Can I ask a question
Yeah.
here? And we can take this offline, Ray, but I believe there needs to be a communications campaign in addition to closing the trails. Each of these groups that uses the trails thinks of themselves, if you listen to the Facebook chatter, they think of themselves as responsible users. I mean, the guy with the bike, with the bridge repair, you know, if you looked at the verbiage.
Proud.
Oh, he's very proud.
Yeah.
And lots of people chiming in and saying, wow, you're a hero. And those people that they say they're managing the forest, but they're not doing anything. And thank you, and you're wonderful. And the same thing, the horse people, if you listen to them, they'll tell you what wonderful stewards they are, but they don't go back and pick up the horse dew, which they should. And we ask people to pick up dog dew, same deal. So, it's a double-edged sword. You want users, I mean, there have to be users or people won't care for the land. They won't care that it's there. But by the same token, there has to be some education, I think, and communication. around these closures, and I don't, how do you feel, how does anyone feel about communicating something like the possibility of transmitting ranavirus between the vernal pools? I mean, to me, that's, I know it's a negative and it's tough to communicate, but
I think it's very important.
Will, how is that handled elsewhere, or is it?
I mean, the ranovirus was a new, I mean, so Dennis went on social media and put it out there, right? I mean, so it's not like so it's out there, the content's out there. I think there's lots of reasons why we should be rerouting trails or closing areas off that could be just as detrimental to the ecosystem as ranovirus could be to those frogs. Um, but when it comes from us, yeah, it's just hard. When it comes from us, it's just another excuse why they can't do something on public land. That's, how do we spin that?
I hear you, I hear you. It's very tricky communication. And nobody wants to think of themselves as doing wrong.
Yeah.
They just want to go out and have their version of a good time. And, I don't know.
I think it's an education issue and we have to take it upon an education line. Like, did you know this is happening in the state? You know what? It's getting closer to us. Uh-oh, I think we found signs of it in our forest. You have to do it kind of like steps, bring people into that. And we have a lot of Facebook pages in Saybrook and so on, so we can get a lot of demographics of different peoples. But I think we have to do it in those steps. It takes longer, but if we just go out there and say, hey guys, you didn't know you were doing bad, but you're doing bad. And it's sort of like a slap in the face. But if we bring it by steps and saying, this is happening in New England, this is happening in Connecticut. Oh my gosh, it's happening right next door to us. It is here. People are going to respond better. And the same way with, we have to close trails. Well, we had to close trails because, and you follow the same pattern. It takes longer, and I don't mind working with someone to kind of finesse the rhetoric, but I think it has to be done. We have to do it now. We know the vernal pools are active right now. We know the snakes are out there right now. They have come out in the last 10, 12 days that I could see in there. So, we kind of have to us, it's like we're hitting the road running, but to the public, it's like, oh, okay.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So we haven't really involved Beth Bernard. She's our outreach forester on this property, have we? Has that name come up, Ray?
No,
Not that I know of.
yeah, I've heard it. She's excellent. I know her from CFPA.
Yeah.
She's
So
long-term
we might be
educator.
able, she's a long-term educator and she manages all of our deep forestry posts and social media stuff. And it'd be interesting to kind of coordinate with Old Saybrook and just
That's an
begin to softly
excellent-
touch on this issue a little bit, through social media.
Would she like to do a public PowerPoint or something? We could get something going at maybe the pavilion or another meeting place to start inviting the public and showing them that this is happening, not just in the preserve, but all around.
I get the posts from Deep, and on Facebook. And if she's behind those, they're very effective. And if she would do a couple of those around some of these issues, then, as you point out, Susan, the different Saybrook community Facebook posts, and Carl could forward it in some manner if it's if it's appropriate. But it would be wonderful if it started from her or whoever is doing those posts.
Yeah. Yep.
I
And
love that.
that's the thing is somehow tagging those communities and crossing those community lines where our deep posts go out and to only certain readers, but if someone shares it or brings it over into another lane for further, you know, viewing, then that's great. I'll
You can
talk to
count me
Beth.
in as one of those. I
Yeah,
get your
great.
deep, and I send them.
Really good
Yeah,
idea.
the newsletters are good. And there's certain topics that are repetitive, and so they stick in your head like spotted lanternfly, like,
Right.
you see it often enough, like, oh yeah, so I think getting certain words in those communications would be good.
Yeah. Sounds good. I will connect Beth, and again, maybe the best thing is just if you bring people together on a Teams or a Zoom call, it's a brief discussion to kind of talk about how this type of promotion could be unveiled, or what issues we want to promote and so forth. So
Okay. Very good. All right, so anything else? Anything else, Will? Anybody else? Any other business? All right, so we're actually gonna try to move some projects forward here by the next meeting. Signs, talk to Bill about the bridge, see if we can get somebody to look at what was designed, what Howard suggested. See what it would cost. How long the bridge is it?
Oh, it's, God, what was it? 10 feet,
Yeah.
12 feet, something like that. It's not very big.
Okay. Okay, all right, so we'll, see if we can get that done. I know we've talked about it,
Yeah, a lot.
so.
We have. It's been ongoing.
I know, that's why I'm like, let's move
Try
it.
to think.
Don't
how
even
long.
try to think of how long.
I will be gray, I'm not super gray at this point, but I will be gray. I think, at this point.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna hold a party on that bridge. And I'm
Yeah,
not,
there you go.
I am not kidding.
We
That
need
is
a
a
permit
lot,
from Park and Rec. All right, we'll adjourn, Will, all right?
sounds good. Thank you.
Well,
See ya.